All right, I think we're on. Let's see. Let's see about doing. I'm using a different mode on the camera. I'm trying to get smaller files. All right, so it takes forever. The internet's not quite as good in this new place, and so holy shit, it takes forever sometimes. Anyway, especially when you do it 33-minute, 32-minute like I did this morning on the self-help sort of how to use fatigue and discouragement to your advantage in a sort of a business context. Can also apply to personal issues. So I wanted to do another one before I head off to the gym. Probably gonna do the 2 workouts, and I just do full body stuff and everything. What do I want to do? So I just want to be reasonably fit. It's 80% food anyway, right? Just be nice and toned and whatnot, not a weakling. Yeah. So there's the fitness blurb for today. So I really want to talk about the state of the damn world. Yeah. How do you like my setup? For those of you who are just listening to audio only, I'm sitting in the parking area of my place, my little mini resort with the Muay Thai boxing rinks and gym behind me. That's not the gym I'm going to. And right in the background is my little 200cc GPX Cafe Racer. And it's a cool little bike. I got the seat replaced, so there's no more wet ass all the time. The other one had cracks in the covering, and so the foam soaks up the water, so even when it's not raining, you still get a wet ass. How's that? All right, so anyway, it's daily. People are still sending me links and everything to ridiculous shit. Keep it up, please. I like it. I myself have basically unsubscribed from all of the feeds about the covidiocy. Well, how much is that word? You know what covidiocy meant in the first months of 2020? It means an entirely different thing now. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I like the word. Like covidiocy, right? And it was so juicy for them, for the elites and the evil governments around the world, almost every single one. That really exposed that. Some governments are better than other governments. No. They're almost 99% are all crap. Utterly irredeemable crap. And in America, what do you got? 2 or 3 guys? Kennedy, what's his name? Johnson, Paul. 3 guys I can name off the top of my head that are decent Republicans. Fuck all the rest of them. They're garbage. I may have missed 1 or 2. Massey, I think he's a congressman. He's a good guy. There's a few. There are, right? But you just can't swim against that tide. Trump couldn't do it. And, it's going to take, we'll see what happens in midterms. We'll see really how stupid the American people are. There are indications that it could go good. I mean, pretty much Trump has almost done a clean sweep. There's a couple exceptions, I think, only of all the Republicans who went against him for one or the other of those bogus impeachments. Never Trumpers, though they're Republicans, and Trump is very popular in the Republican Party, and so who butters their bread? The scoundrels. But anyway, a lot of them got primaried. It's so hilarious. I love it. I used to say, I have a saying, I love it when a lefty gets kicked square in the teeth. Well, you know, now these rhinos are getting kicked square in the teeth, and it's wonderful. But there's a lot of good signs, right? COVIDiocy was their undoing. It's going to be their continued undoing, and it might get really fucking bad. I mean, and so much stuff. I see stuff all the time. I don't like go in and read the stuff anymore. I've unfollowed everybody who does still doing COVID stuff. It's like, I know. Well, keep doing it, because a lot of people don't, and they're finally getting a clue on. You know, it just, let me do a quick diversion. It's just like in 2018, was it? Yeah, 2018, 2 years, 4 years ago, when Donald Trump gave a speech at the UN, and he warned Germany. He said, your dependence on Russian energy is going to come back to bite you. The German delegation visibly and audibly laughed out loud at Donald Trump. Well, go look at the news now. I love it. Freeze. You know, I have a huge disdain for Germans. I really do. Even though I'm half German. My father was born there, Stettin, 1938. I think he does too. He shares it with me. What a bunch of assholes, really, right? They learned nothing from fucking from their history and their legacy of World War II. They're still a bunch of fucking stupid sheep. And all the good ones, I know there's exceptions, I'm painting with a broad brush, but the good ones, like my father, they got their asses out of there. Right? They're sheepish. They're followers, right? They do the right things. Good Germans. Fuck off. God. Bunch of petulant fucks. But that goes, like I said, that goes for everybody now. But you can just go down the line. I mean, this thing with their energy bills. Like I saw something like doubles, right? Up 700%, and then it doubles from there. There's some of the stuff is just like, oh my God, you know. This is like you know. At some point, somebody's going to ask what's the difference between the way things are now and what the continent suffered in World War I and World War II with the utter devastation. You know, I suppose the difference is that all the infrastructure is still there. You just got to buy the energy from Russia, right? They shut down their nuclear power plants, all of them. They're going to rely on renewable. What a fucking bunch of doofuses. Germans, you're fucking stupid. Glad thing a smart one got out of there in 1992. Married my mother, smart move, and didn't indoctrinate his 4 children into being, you know, everything German. It cracks me up, you know. Italians too. I don't know so much about the French, but a lot of these Western Europeans, they come to a new country. They come to America, for example, and they immediately seek out all of the people to have social circles. Now, some of that is okay, right? But a lot of times they never, like, they have to set up, and the Asians too. They have to set up a little Germany, like in Wisconsin, or a little Italy, like in New York, or a Chinatown, like in San Francisco, and probably New York. You know, these things. And so, what did you do? My dad? Nope. 14 years old when he got to Reno, Nevada, and probably all he cared about was getting a car and getting a chick, right? And he did both of them. Went into the Air Force, the Air National Guard, and was a jet engine mechanic. You know, he just did America in the 1950s. Any better place to be in the whole world? Ha. So, yeah, people, I meet Germans all the time here. They're like, do you speak German? Like, Nope. All right, I should say 9. No, jawohl. Jawohl. Huh. Yeah, I know a few words. I know a few words, Liebchens. Okay, so, but I mean, I just scan through the news every day. You don't need to read it. And if it's wrong, it's like I say, it's too good to fact check, right? What was it in Brazil? They did this study with 8,000 participants, like just all the off the top of my head stuff, of ivermectin, and they found a 92% benefit of mortality benefit for someone who was taking ivermectin prophylactically, which means, just regularly. So if they got COVID, they had a 92% less chance of kicking it. Now, there's confounders, because if they were doing that prophylactically, they're health conscious, and health conscious can be across the board. Maybe they eat better, they exercise more, and so on and so forth. And the other ones don't care so much, right? But 92% is a big number, big ass number, right? So it's not all confounded by that. So it's got to be some pretty. What's another one? Another one is some life insurance companies have a vested interest of calculating death certificates, actuarials, because they're, it's what builds those big skyscrapers with their name on the top floor, because they make money, and they make money by accurately calculating risk. Well, their risk analysis could never have accounted for. It certainly did account for COVID. Would have been no big deal. Would have been a blip either way. But not the vaccines. That's a human intervention that is, I believe, is just scratching the surface of the genocide. And I'm going to start using that term, the genocide. The genocide by Bill Gates and his corporate minions, and a lot of others in there, elites across the globe. And the thing is, you can't hide death statistics. You just can't, right? So they're looking at it, and what's particularly disturbing, and well, actually what makes it easier to detect is, if you have excess mortality in the age, and this was one of the issues with all-cause mortality before the vaccines with COVID, it's because we had several years of pretty low mortality. In other words, people who would normally have died ended up sticking around for a while, so they stack up. I call them people past their due date, right? Good for them. They got another year or 2 or 3 on life. Hopefully it was quality time. But something's going to get them eventually, right? And it happened to be COVID, Just like for some, it's a common cold. It's the last nail in the coffin, the straw that broke the camel's back. Happens, right? So but insurance companies can account for that. But when you have this vaccine and you have, they've double the mortality in 18 to 35-year-olds. So it's the young people, right? And you just can't explain that shit away. You could say, well, we've had an unusually a tough year for 18 to 35-year-olds, but it's a percent or two. Okay, and then it goes back down. It's a percent or two under. It always goes like you have a trend, but it's just going up and down, and the whole average creates the trend. Well, when it goes like this, something's wrong, and they try to explain it away. Sudden death syndrome bullshit like that. It's like they used to have the thing, crib death or sudden infant death syndrome. Oh, nobody knows why. And it's because babies aspirate, or they can, what is it, aspirate, vomit. So then they feared that if the baby's laying on its back, that they'll ingest it and choke on it. So they lay them on their stomachs. Well, the baby would move its head and block off its in blankets or a pillow or on the mattress and suffocate, because it doesn't have the wherewithal yet to right itself, right? So they eventually figured it out. It was nobody's fault, really. But the vaccine thing, there are thousands, tens of thousands of people directly at fault, directly culpable, and no less than prosecution, judgment, and a sentence of death is gonna satisfy me, right? I know you can't do torture, but if you could, that would be on my list too. Public torture. Okay, so I can say that unemotionally too, without real rage. I mean, just cold-hearted bloodlust, really. Though I'd probably laugh. I wouldn't be able to hold that through, because if and when it ever happened, I'd laugh. Hell, I might even make an exception and toast a few beers or something. So, not really. I'm so over it. It's hilarious, right? Okay, here's the other thing. So, anybody still hiding from that thing that the vaccines are safe and effective and there's no connection between all this, you're just, I don't know what the fuck you're smoking, but that level of dishonesty, a dishonest person can be dishonest as long as they want, right? But as more and more people, as it gets exposed, more and more people figure it out, right? Then it becomes more and more difficult and uncomfortable to hold the party line that was the party line, and speaking of parties and political offices and such and institutions, it's hilarious watching them pivot and spin and backtrack and because they know they fucked up big time. And personal stories. I think just about every single person I know who got vaccinated has had COVID at least once, some 2 and 3 times. There's this girl I know at a bar down here. It's beautiful, and she's tall for a Thai woman. Like, she's 166 or 8 centimeters, which is like 5 foot 5 or 6. I'm 5'10". It's 178. 178 and a half centimeters. And but she's two things about her. And no, there's no relationship beyond me going in and talk to her at the bar. We went to lunch once, a Korean barbecue thing. Or not Korean barbecue, Thai barbecue, which is nothing like a barbecue. I mean, I don't like it that much. And she's just great at pool, man. I mean, I'm okay. I can do some bank shots and some jump shots where you jump the cue ball over a ball that's in the way. One time out of 3 to 5 kind of thing. Spin on the ball, backspin, side spin. English they call it, I think. So I'm by no means I'm just like maybe a teeny bit above average. She's really good. I beat her like 1 out of 3 or 5 times, right? And that's more often when she makes a mistake, not because I just happen to be good. Anyway, she's also from Phuket in Phuket, which is the primary city near where I built the house. So I like to talk. I know the place like the back of my hand, and so talk about that. So there's affinity. Anyway, since she's gotten vaccinated, she gets sick like every week with something, some kind of thing, right? And I know other people like that too. They're just always like, there's something here. There's something to it, right? And it just goes on and on and on with shit. Look how that stupid raid on Trump's house is just falling apart before their very eyes. And I don't know how they get away with that. I don't know how they get away without culpability. It's a bit more than an oopsie, right? It's a former president of the United States. And and Joe Biden says, I didn't know anything about it. Joe Biden signed an executive order stripping Trump of his executive privilege, right? And the judge who appointed a special master to review some of the stuff, the 500 or at least the 500 pages of stuff that was attorney-client privileged stuff like. I mean, they made so many fucking mistakes. They took like personal effects, right? Just very broad kind of stuff, and something that nobody should be subject to, and certainly not an ex-president. And I'm not one of these things. He's not king by any chance, but it's kind of just a point of decorum. If you're gonna have a country and a political structure and then for the highest office you might want to show a little deference, respect, and decorum. I'd be saying the same thing if it was damn Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton, right? They should be the problem is that they have not been even touched. They are handled with kid gloves when they ought to be prosecuted, because there's plenty of evidence that would likely land them in jail. But if they were doing improper things, I would rise up and say no, that's wrong. Anyway, so that, and then Biden's like the stupidest political speech ever in the history of the country, and on and on and on. I guess that's it. I could go on and on, but the bottom line is that there's signs that the Ukraine war, oh my God, everybody in Europe freeze to death this winter, but support Ukraine, all right? Yeah. So anyway, that's about it. Just another video. Enjoy it if you enjoy it, and I'm trying to just pump stuff out to load up that